Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today I am doing the first video of this kind for my channel. So I have never before done a full spoiler vlog reading a whole series, but today I am bringing you that exact video. So this video is me reading all 3 books in the Legacy Trilogy, which I have right here. Here's one I made earlier. These are massive. And this series is very chunky. I read it for the It's All About Fantasy read along that I do with the lovely Lisa. It was our pick for many months, I think, but we have just finished it and we are now starting a new series. So now is the perfect time to upload this vlog. I will preface that at the start of this video I go through and say, well, I'm not going to do any spoilers, and then I do spoilers. So bear in mind that if you're watching this video and you have not read this series, I will be talking through key things that I think are worthy of talking about. Now, that doesn't mean that I spoil every single thing that happens in this book. This video is nowhere near long enough for me to do that. However, I will spoil certain things. You will find out that certain characters have died or not, and you will find out potentially who makes it at the end. If that is not what you want, read this series and come back. I will not hold anything against you, except what I want to say is read this series because I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to tell you what I rated it right now. You'll find out as I go through the vlog, but I hope you will enjoy this. I'm going to let Past Me take it away, and just to let Past Me know, I did indeed do a little introduction to bring all this together because I've now watched the full thing and I know how it ends. So, I hope you enjoy. Here we go. Hello everyone. It is the last full week of June and I am starting this, what I hope you will see is a full reading vlog for the next few months, reading the Legacy Trilogy by Matthew Ward. So, bit of backstory if you were not aware, and I don't know how you wouldn't be aware because I talk about it all the time, but I run a read along every month with the lovely Lisa called It's All About Fantasy, and we pick a range of both indie published and traditionally published series. They have to be completed though to read, and we do a live show the month after. So if we're reading a book in January, we will do the live show for said book in February, and so on and so forth. We take December off, so we try and pick series that fit into January to November, which means we usually have like a live show right at the end of November to try and, or in December. We still have a live show in December, but we don't pick a book and read in December. So we have a month off because it is a lot. Previously, we have read The Ruin of Kings. Can't remember right now what that series is called, by Jen Lyons. We have read standalones as well, like The Sword of Kaigan by Emma Wang. A Study in Drowning was last year by Ava Reid, I want to say. We have DNF'd series. We have DNF'd Eragon as a joint decision, and we by Christopher Paolini, and we did DNF The Grace of Kings, so the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. Lisa just wasn't getting on with it, and she said that she didn't see herself carrying on the series after finishing Grace of Kings if she did, and I said, well, let's just stop, and if you're not enjoying it, let's just pick something else. And that is how we have come to be reading Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward, because yeah, this, so as I'm currently filming this now, it's the, like I said, the last week in June. June was meant to be the second book in The Grace of Kings, then July and August. So now we'll be reading this trilogy instead. This is a traditionally published series. It is completed, I don't know as of when. I want to say like the last year, maybe the year before. It is published by Orbit. And I thought, for a change, because I haven't actually done this yet, I would actually try and vlog me reading the whole thing, the whole series. I don't think I will vlog per book. It's all very up in the air. I'm really hoping that like editing Chelsea's done a really nice intro and she's gonna tie it all together, because right now I don't know what's happening. It's a heat wave here in the UK, so my brain's already scrambled and I've been at work all day, so it is what it is. But yes, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the whole series and I will vlog the experience for you guys, which again, like I said, I have never done, and then hopefully maybe I'll carry it on. Our next series is an indie series, so that'd be really cool to vlog as well. This is a chunky boy. It is so thick. And I'm very lucky to have this copy actually signed by Matthew, which I'm so grateful for. I won this years ago when it first came out. He did like a giveaway. And if you'd have told me back then, which was what? When was this published? 2019. So I think I got my copy. I must have got this copy in 2021. It must have won this because we were living with Jack's granddad. And that's kind of how I measure time. I know I got this when I lived there. So maybe it was on the release of the second book, I'm not too sure. Either way, I'm rambling. I've had this on my shelves for a very long time. Completed trilogy, and if you'd have told me, that was the point I was getting to, if you'd have told me back then when I won this book that I would have interviewed this author and been part of his like blog tour team, I would not have believed you. But Matthew is very lovely. I'm going to read you the back of this one because why not? I won't do it for the rest of the series, obviously, because it'll ruin it. I don't want to do spoilers. That's also why I'm thinking about just doing this as like a whole vlog of just all 3 books, because I don't feel like I'd have enough to say book related for each book, because I'm not spoiling stuff, because I want you guys to enjoy this. But yeah, so this says, fate turns, legacies burn, a phoenix shall blaze from the darkness, a shadow has fallen over the Tressian Republic, ruling families, once protectors of justice and democracy, now plot against one another with sharp words and sharper knives. Blinded by ambition, they remain heedless of the threat posed by the invading armies of the Hadari Empire. The Republic faces its darkest hour, yet as Tressia falls, heroes rise. Game of Thrones meets The Last Kingdom in Matthew Ward's Legacy of Ash. An unmissable epic fantasy debut of vicious intrigue, ancient magic, and the eternal clash of empires. So I've heard many good things about this series as well, because I have been reading the newer series, the Soulfire Saga, sorry, which is releasing, the second one released this year, the first one released last year, I'm guessing the third one's going to release next year. I have heard people compare that to this, and this is people's favourite. People prefer this over that, but I just think it's probably because it's slightly different kinds of fantasy. So this sounds super political, whereas the darkness within them is actually the darkness before them. Whereas the darkness before them is a lot of action. It starts with a heist, it throws you right in, and then there is politics kind of like weaved in and out. But I've already seen that Lisa is like 20 odd chapters into this as I'm filming this now. She is saying that this is possibly like one of her favourite starts to a series. She is singing its praises. I need to get started because the live show's in 2 weeks, so that's what we're gonna do. So that was a long intro. I'm gonna get started on this. I don't know how often I'm gonna check in. I don't know how I'm gonna check in, but I just know that I need to start reading this, otherwise I'm going to get shouted at, and I don't want that, and I don't want to let Lisa down, and I want to read this book. So that's what we're gonna go and do. I'm gonna go downstairs, open my window so I can create a draft because it's hot in the UK, and then I'm gonna wait for Jack to come home and I'm gonna read my book. So that's what I'm gonna go do. I will come back and talk to you when I have like something of significance to tell you. Spoiler free, of course. I'll see you then. I don't know if this is straight. Hello. It's many days later. I can't even remember when I started this book. And I haven't checked in since. Go me. Well, I have been reading. I am 274 pages into this chunky book, and I do have thoughts, so I'm going to tell you some of them, because that's the point of this idea of me, you know, filming myself talking to you about these books. I still don't think that I don't know if I want to do spoilers. I don't think so. By the end of this vlog, I will have decided, because I've still got 2 more books to read. I have now officially bought the other 2 books for this series. They should be coming today, actually, which is great. I don't think I'll be opening them in this vlog, though. So, Legacy of Ash. Full of politics. Full of it. So if you don't like politics, you're not going to like this book. If you do like politics, I think you'll like this. So far, there has been limited action. There's a lot of threats of violence against people, which is fine. There are so many character names, though. It took me so long to kind of get to a point where I was like, I know who we're talking about, but I did get there. I do also kind of enjoy that, I will say, about fantasy. I like fantasy books that I am kind of confused about in the beginning. I don't feel like this is info dumpy though, at all. Obviously, like I said, I'm over 200 pages in. I don't feel like any of the information we've been given has been like thrown at us. I feel like it has kind of come out naturally as the story has progressed. The first chapter is literally like a little prologue-y bit, which was 15 years ago, and we meet Katya and we meet her 2 children, and we kind of learn that she's seen as a traitor against the Empire, and, you know, she dies. Not a spoiler, it happens in the very first chapter. Then we go into 15 years present day, and obviously her children have grown up. Josari and I think it's pronounced Kalen, but I could be saying that wrong. I'm not listening to the audiobook yet. And they are trapped within the family home that their mother used to have. And they are kind of bound, well, they are bound to this house. They are not allowed to leave. There has been magic used to bind them to this house. I'm sorry if you can hear my washing machine and my dishwasher. It's all going off at the minute. But I really like that. There's like a really weird magic system in this. It's not weird, but like, it's kind of like a sprinkling of magic rather than like everyone is wielding freaking wands and stuff. I find, all the bin men are here. I find that with a lot of the books that I read as well, either everyone is wielding magic or they're wielding swords. And I feel like this is a bit of both, which is good. We're also introduced to other characters. I'm not going to say too much about the other characters because I am kind of sticking with the no spoiler thing. But this author, Matthew Ward, does not pull punches. He is not afraid to like make the characters suffer. And I believe this was his first ever book, which is crazy when you think about it, because it is so well written and I'm really enjoying it. I think Lisa's already finished this. I think she's given it like I think she's given it? I think she gave it 5 stars, but I could be wrong. Obviously I'll find out more in the live show, which will have already happened, because this vlog is going up after I finish the whole trilogy. And maybe this will be spoiler filled, because I feel like otherwise it's just going to be me being like, after this book, going like, well, you know, here is the gist of the story, but I can't tell you anything else. So probably from this point on, it's going to be spoilers. Sorry, not sorry. In that case, if we're doing spoilers, we are introduced to like a group of friends at the start of this book. Malachi, Victor, who is also featured in the very first part of the book 15 years before, and we find out that he's kind of got a little touch of magic in him, but it doesn't seem like good magic, and then that's all that's mentioned, and then we kind of move on 15 years later, and then it comes up again later on in the book. But we meet him, and we meet Casimir, I think it's Casimir, and Rosa, who are like a group of friends. They've been friends for years. Rosa, Casimir, and Victor are all soldiers, and Malachi is part of the council that run the north part of this empire, which is very, very cool. And Casimir is in love with Kalen, and he's going to go marry her, and on the road he ends up getting killed. And Rosa manages to survive, but I'm still at the point where I don't know why Rosa survived. Well, I know why she survived, like the goddess saved her, but I don't know if, like, I'm still unsure as to what that means, because obviously now if you stab her she doesn't bleed, which is crazy. Like, what? So yeah, I'm interested in that. I'm intrigued. I want to know more about like that and how that's going to play in. I like that she was saved by the Hadari, and the Hadari are coming to conquer this kingdom, empire thing. And they're the opposite. Like, they're meant to be enemies, but the princess saved Rosa because she found her on the road. This is all over the place and not very chronological. I'm sorry, but that's kind of how my brain works. And I just think we're gonna see more. And obviously, I love one of the other really big things that I love about this book. I'm really enjoying how strong all the female characters are. Like, Kellen does my freaking head in because she's just really whiny. She basically was raised outside of the family home, didn't really know her mother before she got killed, and didn't really know her brother before her mother got killed, and then because of who her mother is, she's now bound to the family home, and she mopes a lot and she whines a lot, and it's just she's just a bit of she's just a bit of an annoying character at times, if I'm honest. However, I really like Rosa. I think she's badass. Really like her. I like that there's older characters as well. Honestly, there's just cars and vans all up and down my road. I like that we have older characters who are also part of the rebellion that's brewing in the background. Love that. But yeah, overall, really enjoying this. Like I said, almost 300 pages in. I currently am not in a position to say that I'm going to finish this before Monday if I carry on reading it physically, because obviously I'm probably like 100 pages away from halfway at the minute, which I might be able to do today. But at the same time, I am driving for almost 3 hours tomorrow and then almost 3 hours on the way back on Sunday. So my thought process is I read as much as I can today, and then around work obviously, and then I get the audiobook, and I probably audiobook the second half, which I don't want to do, but I also don't want to put mass pressure on myself and be like, well, I have to somehow fit in reading this while spending the weekend away with my friends, and I'm working on an event for my friend because he's done something amazing and he has basically created a charity football game. I would put a link, but there's no point because by the time this goes up, it'll be well over. But yeah, basically he's doing a charity football game, and it's for a kid we went to school with, his best friend. I grew up with them as well. We went to school together, and unfortunately we lost him to mental health last year. So my mate is being amazing, and he is doing an 8-hour football game. He's organised everything about it. I've provided support because events is kind of, you know, my bread and butter. But he's done everything himself while asking questions, and I'm going to run it for him so he can take part. But there is an 8-hour football game where they're going to be running around, which I'm glad it's not me because I can't even run for like 5 minutes really. And yeah, they've already gone over their target, which is great. He had a target of like $3,000, and now we've raised, I say we, he has raised almost 4.5, which is fantastic. I'm so proud of him and everything he has done. So yeah, I don't really want to put all the pressure on myself to be like, I need to finish this book by Monday. I know I need to finish this book by Monday, which is why today is my like heavy reading day, and then whatever I don't finish, hopefully I'll be able to finish on the audiobook. And then I can still enjoy the weekend. I might even take this down, and if I end up needing to sit and read for a bit, or if I get up early or whatever, I can. But Saturday is pretty much a write-off because that's the day of the event, and it's an all-day thing. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be good fun. But like I said, I'm really enjoying this. It doesn't feel 5 stars at the minute. I will say it's feeling more 4. And maybe that's just because there aren't any points at the minute where I've gone, oh my gosh. But there is still so much time for that to happen, and maybe it will. So yeah, I'm off to carry on reading, and I need to work, and then I will I don't really know when I'll do my next update. I was trying to do an update every 200 pages, and obviously that's not happened, and I'm not taking my camera with me this weekend. So this might be like the shortest section of this vlog, of me being like, finished it. Maybe I'll check in again later or tomorrow before I leave and tell you where I got up to in this, and then we can finish it, and then I'll come back and tell you I finished it and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna go because I'm just babbling, and I will come and give you an update when I have one. Hello. I don't know why I'm squishing myself into such a small space, but here we are, me trying to fit so that I have you at a kind of decent height. I am here for a check-in. I have not finished this book. I did say, oh, maybe I'll come back from my weekend away and I'll be like, oh, I finished this book. No. No, I didn't. I did listen to probably an hour and a half well, it wasn't an hour and a half. I listened for an hour and a half of my drive down to Surrey with the audiobook, and I just couldn't get along with it at all. So I have returned it and I am back reading physically, which is obviously slower going. I didn't get on with it because I just didn't gel with the narrator's voice. It's a very well-spoken woman, so if that is the sort of voice and narration that you like listening to, you will gel very well. I apparently don't. And I felt like when I sped it up, I just couldn't understand anything that was happening, and that also could be because this book is quite complex in a way. There is a lot of characters within this, there's a lot going on, so maybe that's also part of it. But as of this check-in right now, I am literally 500 pages in. I'm well over halfway, which is great. I've obviously got we're at 500, there's 700 and something pages left. Is it 767? 768, so I've got 268 pages left to read. And we have just had one of the longest battle scenes I have ever read in my life. And that's not a bad thing, do not get me wrong. However, I'm going to say now, if you do not like battles, you will not probably enjoy this chunk of this book. I feel like sometimes as fantasy readers, we kind of fall into, obviously, different sectors, and there are some of us that will enjoy politics and a sprinkle of battle heaviness. There are those that go in for the action and a sprinkle of politics. There are people that like all politics, no action, all action, no politics, character driven, world driven, all of that. I will say, to begin with, I felt this was very much a heavier mixture on the politics side, and then we got to this battle, which I have been reading for I don't even know how long. Shall we see if I can find where we started reading about this battle, because it has been going on for at least 100 pages, I would say, and that's a little bit bonkers. However, I do like how it's done. The other, I don't know, I give up trying to find out how long, but I reckon it's been about at least 100 pages. The other thing that I will say is not necessarily my favourite about this book, but I understand why, is some of these chapters feel so long. And they feel so long because within each chapter, we can swap perspectives. We can swap perspectives once, twice, 3, 4 plus times to get an overall view of what is happening at that exact moment, which is cool. Do not get me wrong, I love the switch in perspectives. However, because it's not broken up into chapters, I do feel like sometimes I'm moving a lot slower through this book because these chapters feel longer to me, and obviously when you're tired or you've been reading for a while, sometimes those longer chapters just make it feel like you are making no progress, and that is what has happened to me a little bit and why I've slowed down, I think, with this book. However, the battle is now over. We have got some form of betrayal, but not betrayal where you think it is, because we get loads of different perspectives. I've already mentioned some of the key characters like Josari and Victor and Kalen, and all of these characters, as I've already said, this is now a spoiler vlog, all of these characters after this battle are alive. They're just in different points of the map, essentially, because they got separated during battle, as happens. I will say there were a few deaths that have happened that did make me go, oh, that's quite sad. Haven't cried. Don't cry often at books. And they're not overly sad. They are written in a very much like, this is battle, this is what happens kind of a way, and these warriors fight because they fight for honour and death and all these things. But I will say it was still a little bit like, oh, that's sad. I was hoping that we'd get to know that character more. I am excited to see what's going to happen in the next 200 odd pages. I feel like we're going to go back to more politics. I am missing because this whole time that we've been in this battle, we have seen none of what is happening in the north, where Victor has come from. We have seen nothing from Malachi, from Rosa, from Victor's dad, any of them. Abigail, who is just so conniving, and I don't think I've actually mentioned her yet in this vlog, and if I have, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I think the fact that Abigail has got so many like threads woven between people. She is trying to get her daughter to kind of like step up into the way that she is and manipulate people between each other. And before we went into the battle, Sevka, who is Abigail's daughter, has had a big realization, and she's literally come home to the guy that plays manservant to her mother and has gone, what has my mother done? And I was like, yes, finally we're going to find out some stuff, and there's going to be some revelations, and hopefully they get to Rosa in time, because not being funny, Rosa now thinks Victor is a bad guy, and Victor's not a bad guy, and he's about to charge north to get accused of bad things, and we don't want that because we like Victor. But yeah, I am enjoying this. I am enjoying the intrigue. I do feel like I'm getting a little bit burnt out reading such a big book, because at 500 pages, this is, even at 500 pages, I should say, that is probably one of the biggest books I have read in a while, non-audibly, because I think the last book that I read that was probably close to this size was The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding, and I listened to that audibly, and I smashed through that, and I really enjoyed that, and I am enjoying this, but I didn't read that book physically, so, and I also read it within the span of a couple of days because I was on site and listening to it, and that's all another thing. But I want to finish this sooner rather than later, because I want to kind of take a little breather after this. The live show for this has been moved. It was meant to be, as I'm filming this, it was meant to be last Monday, but I was struck down sick, so I couldn't. So we have moved it a week, which is good because that gives me time to read this, but it does also mean that I just feel like I'm dragging my feet a little bit, and I'm not meaning to, but I just kind of am. You know, when you get that feeling, that's kind of the feeling I have. But my plan is finish this, and then I won't touch it. I kind of want to finish this before the weekend. Can I read 200 pages between like now and tomorrow? I don't know. But yeah, I do kind of want to finish this before the weekend, just so that purely I can read anything else over the weekend. Maybe even something smaller or, you know, less high stakes. And then I can, once the live show for this is done, I can then start reading the next one, but not in as big a blocks as I'm trying to make myself read it now, like maybe like 50 pages a day or something, just to get started, and then we can go from there. Maybe that's what I can try and do, and what I should really do, because the whole me trying to read this in one chunk is not working. But I do have books 2 and 3 upstairs. They have been delivered. I have not unboxed them yet. I really should. But I also kind of want to do something else this weekend. I kind of want to finish this and then just be like, right, let's just finish some other books that I have got 100 or so pages left of, and just get some stuff crossed off of my currently reading list, because it is out of control. But that's not what this vlog is about. Still enjoying this. Looking forward to seeing what happens in the next 200 pages. I don't know if I'll come back and talk to you again before I finish this book, but we will see. Maybe I will in 100 pages, when I've got like 100 pages left. I'll come and do a check-in, and then we can just go from there. I'm just seeing, because I'm trying to do check-ins when I'm at a chapter end, because it makes more sense. Or maybe I'll just do a check-in before I get to, or as I get to, the final 100 pages. Maybe it'll all kick off, maybe I'll have some thoughts and feelings before that, I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous to read book 2 already. Not that I don't think it'll be good, I'm just worried about where book 2 is gonna go. And if I'm worried, I don't want it to suffer from middle book syndrome. Which, in the grand scheme of things, when I read the Greenbone Saga, the second book was actually my favourite book. So it's not always the case, but yeah. That's where I'm at right now, that's how I'm feeling. Let's see if I can read some more tonight, and then that leaves me less to read tomorrow. I'll come and check in either when I finished or when something else happens. I'll see you then. And just like that, it is done. This is done. It's currently a Friday. The live show for this is now Monday. So I have got the weekend free now of this chunky book. I will say, from the last time I checked in, which I don't know what day it was when I last checked in, but I last checked in with you after I'd gone through like the 100-page battle scene, and that took its toll. I will say I found certain parts of this book just slow to get through. As I have said previously, I am a big I actually don't know if I've said this before, I'm a big action reader. I like when things are happening, but not when things were happening in the war. Like, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? But when we got past the war, I think it was like, I don't even know what pages it was, but we got to a point post-war when Victor and Josari, whatever, went back up north to try and pardon the South Shields. They'd done this whole war, the North had come back down, they were arresting everyone, making it out that the Southshire people were bad, even though they'd just fought the enemy that the North didn't want to fight. So Victor and Josiri ride up north to try and settle everything, and then Victor gets arrested because Rosa has found magic books that Abigail got placed there, and I will say at that point I got very mad at Rosa because she was meant to be such a good friend of Victor, and it took like just the right little needling bits, and all of a sudden she'd swapped alliances and she didn't believe in him anymore, and I wanted to hit her head off of a wall. We then lose Kellen at the end of the battle, and like, obviously the more I've read now that I finished it, and as always this is spoilers, so if you don't want to know the spoilers, click the heck off. But I'm guessing Kellen is dead. Like, she appeared at a point, and I was just like, how the heck have you survived being essentially buried in tunnels beneath the ground that have been sealed? How did you get out? You couldn't have got out, and I'm pretty sure she didn't get out, because right at the end Victor is talking to her and someone else spies on them, and they say he was talking to nothing, to an empty clearing. So obviously she's not real. And there's this whole big fight, obviously, in the north, and there's so many political things. I flew through the political sections of this book because I was so intrigued. I was like, someone has got to figure it out. And then it does get figured out, but then Sevka, who figures it out, gets locked up so that she couldn't tell anyone, and then she escapes, and then all these things, like, just like one after the other, it's like bam, 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 bam. And I raced through that part of the book so fast. Absolutely loved it. I will say this is giving me 4 stars. I haven't fully rated it yet, but I'm feeling 4. And I think that's because there were parts of this book that I was like, oh my gosh, I do not want to put this book down. And then there were parts of this book that I was like, come on. But you have to go through that. And I've sent Lisa a couple of voice notes. There are the slow parts that I was like, oh my gosh, please just carry on. You kind of have to go through to feel the love and affection and to be invested in the rest of the characters. If you didn't have that, then there would be no point. You wouldn't want to read the rest of the book. And I completely agree with that. I don't know what I predict for the next one, to be honest. So obviously right at the end, Malena, who is the princess from the Hadaris, has followed Victor, sees that he's talking to an empty clearing. Obviously something's going to happen with that. Something has got to happen with that, you know. There has got to be, I don't know if the Hadaris are going to come back and fight a war. I would like to think not, but you never know. But Malena is the champion of one of the Children of Light, so I'm interested to see how she plays a part. I am wondering if there's going to be a section where her and Victor have got to go head to head and she's got to try and like quash the light that, no, she's like quash the darkness that is inside of him. Interested. I'm also intrigued to see how Malachi's deal with the Crow market goes, because he has made a deal and we don't explicitly know what that deal is. There is mention that it is something to do with having a sympathetic ear on the council for the Crow market to, you know, have ways of voicing their issues, like they need less patrol so that they can do all their illegal business and stuff. But is that going to be it? I don't know. Is Malachi going to tell anyone? Is it just going to come out? I feel like that's the sort of thing that's just going to like come out or be discovered. Like, it doesn't seem like something he's going to tell anyone. So I'm interested to see how he does that. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, it's feeling more 4 stars. It was Matthew's first book, actually. Well, his first published book. I don't know if there was more before this. But as of this being the start of the series, some pointers. I feel like you'll enjoy this book if you enjoy political intrigue and if you enjoy action, because there's a pretty good mix of both in this book. If you enjoy heavy, like epic fantasy, you'll like this. I wouldn't say it's too grimdark. There were some points talking about like shattered bones and blood and stuff, but it wasn't massively awful, if that makes sense. And I will also say that I think you'll like this book if you're not afraid of having like a billion characters and so many names all in one place, because there are so many names. It does get whittled down, obviously, death and people like go away and come back again. But at the front of this book, there is basically a page and a half of just names of important people that are within this book. And yeah, I feel like it didn't go the way I expected it to at all. And I like the relationships we have in here. We have a bit of found family. We have like proper undying loyal friendship, which I absolutely loved. We have got, you know, conniving people who are trying to take over and make kind of like the Republic their Republic. That's Abigail, just in general. So yeah, and we've got family secrets, like, threaded throughout this whole thing, which I also really enjoyed. So there you go, there's book 1 done. I'm very glad. I am now going to stop talking to this vlog because you don't care, well, you might care about the other books that I read, but that's not the purpose of this vlog. The next time I will come and talk to you will be, I don't know if it'll be as I start the next book or after I have started the next book and got a ways in. We will see, but I'm looking forward to seeing where this book takes me and looking forward to seeing what comes next for the characters that are still alive. So for me, it will be at least a couple of weeks. For you, it will be literally a second, but I will see you then with the next book and maybe some thoughts about that one. Bye. Hello everyone. It is Friday, the 17th of August. I don't think I've done any dates so far in this vlog, but I thought I'd just throw that out there. And today I officially started Legacy of Steel, book 2 in the trilogy. The trilogy Legacy? No, the Legacy Trilogy. It is late at night, it's like gone 10:30. And I wanted to just jump on here and say I've started this book. So I had a log of it. I'm 50 pages in and I already have thoughts. And I'm pretty sure I've already said this is going to be spoilery, so we're going to do some spoilers. So the first thing is that we have like a list of people in the front, right? And now the thing that is like confusing me is that Kellen, I think I'm saying her name right, Josari's sister, is nowhere to be seen on any of these pages. Now there is a gone but not forgotten part. She is not in that, so if we just she's just gone and forgotten apparently. But yeah, I don't really know what's happened with that or where she's poofed to, but she has poofed indeed. And then so by being 50 pages in, I'm midway through chapter 3. I'm really do you know what, the thing I love about this book, this series, is that there are some longer chapters, but majority of them are actually quite short, so you actually feel like you're getting through things. And I also feel like because I've already started this book and I've already been in this world, and it wasn't actually that long ago that I was in this world, falling back into it is so much easier than just starting a new book. I'm loving that. Like, I don't need all of the gumph that comes with explaining who different characters are, because I know some of them. We are catching up with characters that we saw at the end of the last book. Obviously the last book, the last scene is like Victor walking off with an imaginary person because he's gone through a lot, as have they all. And then the like prologue of this, which I didn't even think of, like I didn't think would be a thing, but the start of this book is literally the Hodari, so Milena, maybe. I'm reading it with my eyeballs, not hearing it, so maybe I'm saying these names wrong, and if I am, I'm very sorry, but this is how I'm saying them in my head. Milena is being claimed as the heir to her father, who is now becoming the emperor, and they get ambushed by crows, by the Vranikin, which I was like, I didn't even know the Hodari would go to. Is it the Hodari themselves? Because they're not happy that she is a girl and she's being declared the heir. Usually it's a boy, and traditionally it's a boy. So someone in that room is so unhappy that they've gone to the Crow Market, which is crazy. Well, maybe not the Crow Market. Maybe they've got like a Facebook group that you can ask for help on. I don't know. But yeah, so that was quite interesting. And finally we've got the goddess back, which is pretty cool. And then we're being kind of reintroduced to other characters. So Jasari's in here. We've got Malachi. Being reminded that Malachi has made a deal with the Crow Court. And or the Crow Market even. And we're kind of seeing how that plays out, which is really interesting, because the girl that is kind of sent to be with him, like the emissary, I'm sure that's right, and her name is escaping me. I think it's Apara, yeah. She's like trying to scare him into doing stuff, and he is like, no, I said I'd be a sympathetic ear, I'm not going to be your plaything. She's like, we're all their playthings, and I thought that was a pretty good line. So that's pretty cool. I don't know when we're gonna see Victor again, because we know he's alive, we just don't know where he is. Victor's a boy. Yeah, we don't know where he is, and I'm really interested to see him, and also to see if there's any more developments between Anastasia, I think I'm saying that right, and her trying to become probably more human and less tied to the porcelain doll configuration that she's been put in to let her escape where they were living, which is pretty interesting. I would like to see that happen. I don't know if it's going to happen, and I do worry that if something were to happen and she were to break free from the bonds of which she's in, that she will have to go away. I'm not sure if that's going to be a thing. I'm not sure what would make Victor come back either. That's the other thing that I'm thinking about going into this. Like, I don't know what would make him come back. And I'm also hoping that we see more developments with Malachi's daughter, whose name escapes me, but it's on the list. Sadara. Because it is shown that she's got like this light magic, which is the opposite to Victor's. And we don't really know a lot about it because she doesn't know a lot about it, but she can heal. She has healed in the last book, so I'm really interested to see if we learn anything about that, whether we get a point of view from her. I'm not sure if we will. We are getting more like points of view from the like points of view that I've already read, which is very few. Obviously we've got Melena, we've got Malachi, we have got Josari, we have got Apara as well, so I don't know how many more points of view we're going to get. I do think we'll get a Victor, because if he's going to come back, which he's in the list, so I'm guessing he'll come back at some point, then surely we should see where he's going, or where he's gone, because he's still in Escavord, last we heard. So I don't know. So yes, I am, and Kirkus is still in it. I really like Kirkus. If you don't know who Kirkus is, that siren is loud, and you haven't really like, I don't know why you'd be watching this if you haven't read these books and you don't want the spoilers. Like I hope you have read these books, or you're not planning to read them. I don't know. Obviously I'm not going to spoil everything. I'm not going to give you like a play-by-play of everything that happens in these books, just the things that stand out to me. But I don't know. There's a lot going on. But yeah, I love Kirkus. If you don't know who Kirkus is, was the thought train that I was on and then I just got off and then almost got lost. I really liked his point of view in the last book. Towards the end, when they were fighting the battles and he was trying to obviously command all of these people, and then he had to kill his friend, and it was just sad. It was so sad, and I really enjoyed this. And I will say, after reading the first two books now in both of Matthew's series, so Legacy of Light, Legacy of Ash, even Legacy of Light is the third book, Legacy of Ash and The Darkness before them, yep, so the first book in his newest trilogy, I really like the way Matthew writes. I really like it. I can see the clear differences between this, I don't know why I'm still holding this, between this series and Darkness, but I feel like the difference is in these books there's just a lot more politics, because especially in the first book it wasn't just one council or one place. We were looking at the politics for a couple of places spread out throughout this world, and I feel like in Darkness there are politics, yeah, that's probably better, politics in certain chapters, and there is a council that we see a lot from, and then it's just like the decisions from the rebels, so I don't feel like it's as in-depth that way. And I feel like in these books, because the first book there is a massive war, right? Well, it's not even a war, it's a battle that spans, I don't even think it spans days, I think it is in a day, but it went well over the course of 100 pages, right? But there wasn't a lot of like action, whereas in Darkness I feel like there's a lot more smaller snippets of action and fighting. They're just concentrated because they're smaller, they're like scraps between only like a few characters, you know? So if you're looking for like the in-depth, like war and battles and like full-on politics, I do think this is the series. Like there's always something going on, and I feel like Darkness isn't as busy as this, but I really like how it is and how it's written, and I really want to carry on with that series and read. I haven't read the second book. I was part of the blog tour, and I didn't read the second book, which is really sad, but I will get to it before the third book comes out next year, and I will be up to date with Matthew's books. But yeah, so overall, enjoying this, only 50 pages in, want to read more of it, kind of don't want to put it down, don't feel very tired, so maybe I won't, maybe I'll read some more, but we shall see. But I thought I'd just come on here and say I've started it, I'm enjoying it, here's some of my thoughts before I actually start. And that's what I'm doing and what I've done. So yeah, I'm going to leave this here. I'll come back and check in. I'm not sure how often I'll check in with this book. Depends how much happens. Like, I don't know if I'll come back for like big moments or if I'll check in every 50 to 100 pages. Not sure. Gonna go with the flow and see what happens. And I hope you like that. So I'll see you in the next check-in. Bye. Hello, I'm checking in. I have hit the 200 page mark for this book, which is great. We are seeing, do you know what, I will say, I was worried that this book, especially because of how big it is, was going to really suffer with the middle book syndrome, as this is a trilogy, but I'm not finding that at the minute. I do find that every time I sit down to read, and I get into the swing of things, I feel like I don't want to put it down. I just have to put it down because I have to, you know, like sleep and eat and stuff, which is a shame, but that's kind of how I feel. But yes, 200 pages, so I'm checking in. I read just under 150 pages yesterday. Today, Gavin is doing sprints for goodness knows how long, so I'm hoping to crack this out because it is Sunday. The live show for this is on Tuesday. I am behind, and I wanted to have been like 50% in by now. Obviously to take that pressure off myself for today and tomorrow, because tomorrow I am actually out, which is not relevant to this vlog, but I will not have Bank Holiday Monday to just sit and read all day, which is fine because it's going to be good for me to get out of the house. But this book, I'm loving the writing style. I feel like, as I've said before, now I'm actually aware of the world and we've been through it. I'm finding that getting into this second book has been so much easier than the first, and I'm so glad to see developments in characters. We're seeing some of my favourite characters again, Kirkus being one of them. Like, I just love him, and there is a massive battle where I thought he was going to die just now, and luckily he doesn't. Obviously this is a spoiler-filled vlog. Luckily he doesn't, but he is one of my favourite characters, and I just love how he keeps calling Anastasia Plant Pot. Like, it just makes me chuckle every time. I'm really enjoying seeing the relationships form between characters, or like develop on top of what we've already seen from the first book, because they're just so much richer now, I think, and we're seeing, you know, cracks forming in friendships, with the main one being like Malachi and Josiri, because Malachi has got enough going on his plate, and Josiri just sees him as kind of not wanting to help the South Wielders anymore. Like, he's gone to battle for all these things, and now that he's first counselor, Josiri seems to see like only that Malachi is playing safe and playing by the rules, and he isn't willing to offer any help. And obviously there is backstory to that, because Malachi has made a deal with the Crow Court, or the Crow Market, and so there's a lot to it, right? There's a lot to it, and I feel bad. But I'm interested to see where the rest of this goes. So hopefully I'll be doing a few check-ins today as I read more and more. Goodness knows what the actual spoilers are going to be for this, but we'll see. And yeah, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna hopefully start reading shortly, and yeah, that is the plan, is to literally just sit and read today and hopefully get through a large chunk of this, because I'm really enjoying it. So I want it done because I'm enjoying it and I want to know what happens next, but I also need it done. So there's like no middle ground at the minute. But I'm enjoying it. I'd highly recommend the series still, and I feel like this one is even just slightly better than the first one already. So let's see where that gets us. Hello, same day. I am quickly jumping on just to document the fact. What the heck? So I am still so confused. I have almost hit the 300 page mark. Today's sprints have not gone how I wished them to go. I thought by now, which is 7:30, I would be so much further into this book, at least, you know, crossing the halfway mark, so we were on the homeward stretch, but apparently not. Anyways, so, yeah, there is, I don't know if I mentioned it at the start of this vlog for this book, but we have got, in the front of this book, we are seeing that Victor is elsewhere and there is no mention of Kellen. Apparently she's alive, but I'm not sure if she's actually alive or if she's just a figment of Victor's imagination. And we've just done a scene where Victor is battling to try and protect a village, and Kellen tries to help, but it's almost like no one can hear her or see her, but she manages to wield a sword. So I'm like, is she real? Is she just like a vengeful spirit? What the heck is going on? I have already spoken to Lisa, and of course she is almost done, so I'm panic reading now. And I'm going to finish off my weekly reading vlog so I can edit it as well and get that up, because obviously, like I've said already, I'm out tomorrow and I don't want to be worrying about the vlog, and I also know that if I don't upload tomorrow then it just won't happen, and I don't want to be doing that. So we're gonna edit, and hopefully it doesn't take, I don't know how much I spoke actually this week, so hopefully it's not too long. But we're gonna read as well while it transcodes and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I'm confused, I am baffled. I want to know, why is Kellen in this? Is she alive? Is she not? What is going on? And also we've seen another god divinity appear. We've met Jack O'Fellhallow, who is the land of the living god. So we're just kind of meeting all these deities and that. It's really actually interesting. I will, like I already said, I said earlier, about this book not suffering from Middlebrook syndrome. This is really not suffering from Middlebrook syndrome. There is so much going on. We have got Josiri being sent to go and find Victor. We've got Victor fighting and living on the top of a hill with a woman who may or may not be alive. I'm not sure, I can't work it out. Non-stop. Non-stop. I'm actually really grateful that I'm filming this spoiler vlog a little bit, because it gives me someone to talk to while I'm reading. Obviously I can do this to Lisa as well, but just like making note of my thoughts, so that if you guys have read this as well, you can also comment down below being like, oh, I love that bit or whatever, because I'm interested to know your thoughts too. I'm also hoping that this sort of vlog doesn't alienate a lot of people, because obviously it's going to be a spoiler vlog, but we'll see. Yes, so I'm watching Gavin's sprints. He has been on since 12. Like I said, it's gone 7:30 now. It's actually 20 to 8. And he was meant to be reading 5 books. He probably has finished 3 of them now. I think he might have started the next one. But yeah, so we're just gonna keep going and hopefully just smash more of this out, because I need to know what happens and I need to know for the live. So I'm going to leave this here, because I'm now talking about things that do not reference this book at all, and I'll come back when I have more thoughts on the second book. Hello, and I'm tired. I am 421 pages in, chapter 40. It is 11:45. I do not think I can do any more. Things are not going into my brain anymore. So I am over halfway. Not by much, but I'm over halfway. And I'm going to have to do some maths to figure out where I'm at. Aren't I? Because I need to... Some people will be able to do this in their brain, but I'm like, nope, not now. It's past my bedtime. So we are 330 pages from the end, so another full book. And obviously, like I said, I'm out tomorrow. if I don't finish this before the live show, I don't finish this before the live show. I will strive to. However, this vlog is not really for that. It is just to tell you my thoughts. And having gotten this far now, I will say Matthew knows how to write a very good battle. And I think one of the things that I'm preferring about this is that there are because I mentioned in the last book that there is like over 100 pages worth of one battle in the book. Like, you're just there and it goes on and on and on, and you're seeing different points of view. In this book, we have got battle and war throughout. I would say most of this book is like war and battle scenes. But I'm enjoying it more because it's not just one big battle. We're not just following one clump of characters. We are seeing familiar faces as they are split off into different places, sent to do different tasks. We have had it confirmed that Kalen is not real. That's interesting. Can't wait for her to, you know, confront Victor about that. And yeah, it's just like constant battles, and I am enjoying it. I actually think this is a world better than the first book. Give the first book 4 stars. So does that mean that this is striving towards a 5? Potentially, because I feel so much more intrigued by this book than I did the first one. Like, I don't really want to stop reading now, but it is bedtime. And I am annoyed at myself that I did not read better today during the day. Like, it seems as though recently we get to nighttime and I'm like more switched on, more engaged. Don't know what that is. But yeah, like I said, this vlog is not for that. I wish I was a faster reader though. I genuinely do. I am enjoying this. I'm going to take it with me tomorrow in case I get to Manchester too early. It's a shame I don't really like the audiobook because I've got 2 hours that I could just, well, 4 hours. It's a round trip of 4 hours that I could listen to the audiobook. I may just have to suck it up and do it, otherwise we're really not going to finish this. And I do want to finish it, and I think it would be really interesting to read. Anyways, yes, I'm gonna go because it's bedtime. But overall, I'm really enjoying this. I should be back in the next couple of days just to give you like final thoughts and the like, because obviously I've almost finished this one. And then the next time we'll speak will be when we're looking at the 3rd book. So that'll be really exciting. We're going to finish off the series. So yeah, that's all for now. I'll be back with more reading updates shortly. I have finished. And I've actually been finished for a couple of days now. So I am now here to talk to you about how I finished and how we got on. And I don't feel like I'm in any form of focus. But I have finished. I want to pick up the next book. This was 5 stars overall. I loved it. There are so many things that have gone into this book that I think made it so much more of a favourite for me than the first book. The main thing being, in this book we have got so many different arguments, fights, battle scenes, action, politics. There is so much more, in my opinion, in this book, and that is because obviously in the first book we've laid the groundwork, we have understood the world, we have met the characters, and then in this book we get to build on all of that information. And I think that is one of the reasons why I gave this a 5 stars. I think another thing as well is that there were so many questions like Kalen. Obviously, I'm like, at the end of book 1 she disappeared, and then book 2 she's there with Victor, and you're like, is she real? how could she have survived? And she's not. She is the outcome of Victor's grief and his darkness, and she has been made from him. And that scene, honestly, was just intense. Like, when he realised that she was just made of his darkness, and that he had done this, and he had created her, and just the idea of how strong his grief was for losing this woman out of his life was just so powerful. I really loved it. I really, really enjoyed how that happened. And then we are introduced more to Sadara. We get more to grips with her. We have so many like final deaths towards the end of the book. I don't actually remember the last time I updated you, but I have obviously now finished it, and I read a lot of this via audiobook. And I will say it was just... there was so much. Like, we have ended this book with Victor back in Tresia. I feel like in the third and final book, he is going to become the big bad. Like, I just kind of feel it. The next book is called Legacy of Light. Sadara is someone who has got power from the light. And I feel as though it's going to be like her against him somehow. She has now obviously lost both of her parents at quite a young age. She has been adopted by Josiri and Anna. These books, there is so much that goes into them. And I was saying this on the live show with Lisa. There is so much that goes into them that I don't even think in the live show we managed to scratch the surface of a lot of things that happened. Because there is so much. Like, I just feel like all I can do is recommend this series. And that is such a good thing as well for the second book, being like, I love this series, I want to read the third and final book. And I do think that Matthew is quickly becoming like an author. I really enjoyed The Darkness Before Them as well, and the writing style and the characters in that, so I think anything he comes out with now I'm going to want to read. I really enjoy, and he's such a lovely person, so that is also great. If you want to check out the live show that I did with Lisa for this, I'll link her channel down below. Make sure you go and watch it, because we have got many thoughts and she has got many thoughts, and we get into a bit of a heated discussion about Liliana, who I in the end ended up really liking as a character, and I agreed with pretty much everything she did in different varying, you know, okayness, but Lisa really didn't like her, so we kind of butt heads a little on that in a loving way. But yeah, I want to just pick up the third book now, if I'm completely honest, but I've got other things that I need to read, so that is what I'm going to do instead. And I will come back and talk to you when I have picked up the third book with some thoughts and feelings as I start that, so I'll see you then. So it's been a little while since I last spoke to you guys, and that's just, I don't know why that is. We are back on the time crunch for the reading of, I'm gonna hold this up because I'm reading it on Kindle this time, Legacy of Light. So the third and final book I'll be talking about in this spoiler-filled vlog. I've started it. Currently, it is Friday. The live show for this is on Tuesday. I had meant to read, obviously, I started this quite early on, I would say, for me. And then I went away, and I did take it away with me to Amsterdam, but I didn't read because it was a very hard show, actually. That one was quite difficult, and by the time I got back to my room, I just wanted to go to sleep and watch TV, which is what I did. And then I stayed with my friend and didn't read there either. And then I was home for a week, picked it up a little bit, but not a lot. And then this past week, of which I'm on Friday of, I have been sick with some sort of flu thing. Started on Sunday, Jack got it on Friday, and Monday wrote off. I've been working from home all week, thankfully, but I have not been reading. I've had headaches and the runny nose and all those fun things that no one really needs to think about. So I have started this book. On ebook though, it is about 900 and something pages. It's 928 pages, the version that I've got on my Kindle. I am currently on page 239, so I am a little bit of a ways in, and I also probably should have come and spoken to you before this, but anyways, here I am with an actual reading update, which is the whole point. Otherwise these videos or these check-ins will literally be like barely anything. So in the first 200 pages we watch, well, the things that have stuck out to me that I want to talk about, because obviously I'm not going to do like a blow by blow of this book, that is not the whole point of this vlog, but the things that I have noticed in here is Victor is definitely following the dark path of which I thought he was going to go down. He somehow has made Rosa forget an expedition that they did right at the start of the book. She gets injured during a fight, and then she sees something and somehow she's forgotten what she's seen, so she doesn't remember what she's seen or what happened in Darkmere, and she blames Victor for this, understandably. Victor is posing this idea of figuring out how to bring souls from the other world or from the Raven back, and just his character arc is following exactly what I thought it was going to do. He is becoming currently a bad guy. I don't know if he's going to stay a bad guy or what, but currently where we're at, that is the thought process. And another thing that I am loving is Anastasia is fine. Wow, is she not? So at the end of book 2 she was still in clay. I have always wondered if this resolution was going to happen, and then partway through, obviously the start of this book, she falls and like shatters or something and wakes up and the clay is like falling off of her. But the weird thing is that she is able to get drunk, she is able to get hurt, and before, when she was tied to Bragan Hall, that couldn't happen. Like, these things didn't affect her. So my thought process on that is she now mortal? Has she now become a human being rather than a divine being? That's probably the right phrase. So I'm interested to see where that's going to go. I will say the thing that I love about these books is that there are so many points of view, but the thing that makes it hard to talk about these books is that there are so many points of view, because there's just so many people and you don't want to... I don't even know if you, like, I'm sure you could, like, if you were the sort of person who writes scripts for their videos and does the really amazing, gorgeous, in-depth written reviews that people do, I'm sure you could cover everything, but there's just so many people, I feel like the review would be massive and just, like, not something fun to digest in order to see whether you'd want to read this book. But that is definitely my biggest selling point for this series, is how many points of view there are. It's so good. And I just love how everything like interweaves. There's some weirdness. It has had another time jump. So I think from the end, I don't know, I think the Darkmere happens like a year after all the events in the second book. And then after that event, it's like jumps another 5 years. So everyone's quite a lot older now. Sidara and Constance are all pretty much like young adults, grown-ups now. Alteris is a grown-up. How some of these people are still alive, I've got no idea. But it's quite nice. I like the time jumps in this series. I think it really helps to push the plot along, especially because a lot of these things, like Victor going on to this villain plot, it wouldn't have happened overnight. I think the idea that he's been stewing on whatever plan he's planning that we don't fully know as of this moment would have taken him 5 years to figure out. And these things that happened with Anastasia, however you want to say it, that would have like kind of cemented some of the thought processes that he has been having for the past 5 years. And it really helps to show why his character is a lot more kind of like, not downtrodden, that's probably the wrong phrasing, but similar, kind of worn down from the job of being kind of in charge and all those things. So I don't think if we hadn't have had those time jumps, I don't think those changes would have been believable. Does that make sense? Because there's so much that has changed, and we're seeing characters act in different ways, that, yeah, it wouldn't have been believable if it was just like, oh, next year, you know? Also, don't get me wrong, I love a series where like all the situations are happening like bam 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 bam. However, what I also love about these series with the time jumps in it is that as a reader, it's a little bit different for me now because I'm obviously reading this series like back to back to back within reason. But if you were waiting for these books to come out every year, it would make sense. I feel like having that gap as well in between books makes sense. But yeah. I would prefer to have a larger time jump at the start of the book and then carry on from that place than not, if that makes sense. But yeah, so those are my thoughts so far. I'm really enjoying it. Guys, this is still a 5-star predicted for me, especially after the second book. So we're going to see what happens because I'm intrigued, as I should be. I'm excited to finish this, and also the really exciting thing is that this third live is going to be on my channel, and Matthew Ward is going to come on and talk with me and Lisa about this series as well, like him writing it and the thought behind it, inspirations and all that fun stuff. So that will have already gone live before this video goes up, which is fine, but I will tag that live up here if you want to see the live for this book. Because obviously when me and Lisa talk, we get different points come across as well between the two of us, because we remind each other of different things. That's also why I like filming this, and I am actually looking forward to seeing how this turns out. I'm not finishing it yet, obviously I've still got the rest of the book to go. I've still got like 700 and something Kindle pages left to read. However, I am really excited to see how this vlog turns out and see if it actually turns out well. To see if it's something that I want to carry on doing for other series that like either we read as indie book fantasy, all about fantasy, or just as I go. So we'll see. But I'm going to leave this here. I think that's a good check-in point for now. Obviously I don't, like, I want to talk about spoilers, but I don't want to just be like, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, because that's boring, and then you won't want to read the book. Or, you might not want to, you might get bored if you're watching this, and I'm just telling you what the plot is. Like, that's not the point. I just want to tell you some of the things that have stuck out to me and, like, my thoughts on it. That's the point. I've probably said that multiple times. But, yeah, I'm going to leave this here, and I'll come back and talk to you with another update soon. And it will have to be soon because, like I said, the live show is on Tuesday and it's currently Friday. Right, I'm here for an update and it's kind of dark and I'm not sure if I'm in focus. We are 407 pages in, chapter 39, over halfway according to my book and my Kindle, because I'm kind of flip-flopping between the two. I do prefer reading physically, I have to say. At the minute I would much rather sit with this, but when I went in the bath last night, because I did well, you won't know that, I said it in my vlog. In my vlog I said, oh, either I'm gonna go downstairs and read while my tea cooks and then get in the bath and read some more, or I'm just gonna like do brain rot and then get in the bath and read. And I did the brain rot and then got in the bath and read. So obviously doing that easier with my Kindle than the book, but I prefer physically reading. I don't know what it is at the minute, but I want to hold a book, and that's not why you're here anyways, so I digress. But we are over 50% of the way in. I would say this book is really slow. Compared to book 2, which I loved and I feel like I raced through, this is taking its time, and I don't know if it's a me thing or a book thing. Like, I haven't decided. However, my updates really aren't that thick and fast, if I'm honest. I am really enjoying the sprinkling of the divinities, the gods in this book, whereas I feel like the main point of the sequel was the gods had all of these plans and they were taking part in the war actively, and they had essentially champions for each, and they were against Jack. I feel like since that concluded and they've had the whole like, you will stay away and da 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 da, in this book they are fewer and further between in appearances, but we have seen the Raven. I like how the Raven has appeared to Selene, or Kalen, or however I say her name. I never get it right. I wonder how many times I've actually said that in this vlog. I like how the Raven appeared to her and was like, you've been stolen from me, because essentially she died and Victor brought her back and put her in clay, and the Raven was like, you've been stolen from me, part of you yearns to come back because it knows that this isn't right, and like gives her this like forewarning about Victor, and is he really the guy that you think he is? And he is not, man. He's not. He's following that dark person arc that I knew he was going to follow in this book. You know, he's also just gone off to war, left Josiri in charge to fix what he broke, which I quite like that Josiri in the book actually mentions that as well. He says, oh, once again, I'm here to like pick up the pieces of which you've left strewn across the floor. And Victor's like, yes, I've been called to break things elsewhere. And you're like, dude, that's not the point. You're not meant to be breaking things. You're meant to be fixing them. Anyways, I do like how well, it's not is it? How Oshana has shown up sneakily to Milana. I like that. And Jack, where I've literally just finished, Jack has just appeared, and Milena tried burning down the forest to get rid of Jack, and I really like the symbolism. I think that's right. I'm not overly like smart about this stuff, but I think it's symbolism, where he has come back and he's like, what was the line? Like, the line was so good. The forest always returns, because she was like, I've burnt the forest, you can't be here. And he's like, the forest always returns. And then she looks out the window and she sees on one of these burnt trees there are fresh green shoots sprouting out of it. So it's like, you can't really get rid of the gods that easily. You think you can, but you can't. And I really like that image. I'm enjoying the in-depthness. It's late. Well, it's not late, but you know, it's 7:45. I haven't eaten, and I walked through the door about 10-15 minutes ago. So I'm all a little bit jumbly, but I do like the slowness of this book, but I also don't, if that makes sense. It's taking me a while to pick this up. It's more 4 than a 5 for this, which sucks because I did have this as like a 5-star prediction unofficially. But if it stays a 4-star, like, that's fine. Maybe I am becoming a middle book girly because I've said this before. This happened for me when I read the Greenbone Saga. The first and the third book got 4 stars for me, but the second book I was 5 stars easily. I loved it. And I loved the second book in this series. So what the heck is going on? Maybe it'll change. I don't understand how we're going to wrap up a trilogy in this. I mean, it's still a lot of pages, but you know, like, I've got like I've got essentially the size of another book, I suppose, if you really look at it that way, because I'm reading so slowly for this book. So yeah, I've essentially got like another book length to read, and I'm so glad I've got this extra week. And I'm just going to dabble in and out of this. I have got tonight, where I'd like to pick this up a little bit. Obviously, tomorrow I'm going to write off as like a probably no physical reading day. I might listen to my audiobook, but, you know, I'm helping a friend move. So I don't think I'll be picking this up. But I do have all day Sunday, most of the day Saturday. I don't really know what the plan is for Friday. So yeah, I've got time. I'm going to read it, and if I keep just picking it up a little bit every day, which is what I was meant to do. I will smash this and I will finish it, and I am enjoying it. I just need to finish it. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't really know when I'll next come and check in, because like I said, I've got another like book length thing. I don't want to just keep coming in and being like, oh no, this is how I feel, because I don't know how long this vlog is already. But I don't want to, I said this last time, I think. I don't know if I did. I don't want to just come and tell you like every little thing that happens, because what's the point in reading the books? But I want to give you the points of which I would like to discuss with someone, you know? And if something like that, another discussion point comes up, I will come back and check in before I finish this book. But if another discussion point doesn't come up, then I won't. But if another discussion point does not turn up in this book worth of pages, we may have a problem. Realistically. So I'm off. I need to eat. I'm hungry. And I will talk to you when I have another update. Bye. It's bedtime. On the Sunday before the live, so we've had to move the live, and we may, at this moment, I'm not sure, have to move the live again, due to Matthew unfortunately being a bit poorly, but I'll find out tomorrow whether he feels like he needs to move it or not. Completely fine. I have got 200 pages according to my Kindle left. I don't know how many pages that is in my physical copy of Legacy of Light. But my thoughts are coming true, guys. Victor is constantly just becoming this bad person, and Kalen, or Selen, I never know how to say her name, has finally been liberated and she's made it to Josiri. But the thing that has really grinded my gears at this point of the story, we have got Constance, who I was really starting to like and root for, run to Victor, who is trying to take over the East Shires, even though it had been readily given up. And he has told his sister that Altiris, the boy she loves, has died. And he hasn't. Like, what? Why would you do something like that? I do appreciate like how he's kind of done it, in the sense that he has given him like this honourable death in his eyes, and he has just, yeah, kind of said like, I was just starting to like him, honourable death, yada yada yada. But he's not dead. You're lying to rile people up. And that's exactly what he's doing, which is rather annoying. And I just kind of want to reach through the pages and be like, he's not dead. He's not dead. Your brother is lying to you, as he always seems to. But, like I said, I've got 200 pages left in my Kindle edition, and I just don't know where this is gonna go. Like, no one is overly happy. Luckily, no one died in the battle that Victor decided he was going to take on with the East Shires and Melena and all of her army. However, Melena has now sworn herself to Jack, the god of the woods. And Rosa is still there with Melena. She needs to go home at some point. I don't know when she is or how she's going to do that, but there's that. Apara is broken beyond ruin a little bit, bless her, because of what Victor did to her. Victor is obviously turned bad guy. Josiri is trying to make everything right. Anna is still there and alive. Kirkus is on his deathbed. So, you know, there's a lot going on. And there's, like, all of the characters. I'm like, where are we finishing? Like, what is I still can't pinpoint what the end game is. And I am 200 pages from the end. And this is what good writing is, I think. In all honesty, I am in awe. I'm really, really enjoying the series. I'm so glad I finally picked it up. I'm so glad I'm finally finishing it. as I've said in previous videos, I don't know if it said it in this vlog, but this series is very different to the new one that Matthew's come out with, which is the Soul Saga, the Soulfire Saga even. I feel like this Legacy Trilogy has so many more interweaving perspectives that I could never really tell you like the ins and outs of every single perspective that is in this book. I just couldn't. There are so many. There are obviously key perspectives that we've followed throughout all 3 books. Josiri, Victor, Selene. We haven't really had an Anna perspective per se. Kirkus has been in all 3 books. And then obviously as characters have come and gone, we've either gained or lost their perspectives. Whereas I feel like the Soulfire Saga is almost like 2 main points of view, and it is just Kat predominantly throughout the whole series. So I feel like this Legacy Trilogy is just so much more, I would say, in depth, only because of you get all these different perspectives that kind of like link up to all the different events, so you get the idea of what is happening throughout the whole map, rather than just like a couple of places, which I really like. It's one of my favourite things. I love reading, I say it all the time, I love reading multiple POVs. I think it's the best. I struggle being in one person's head because I don't get on with every character, and I feel like those sorts of books are the ones I don't necessarily gel with and or enjoy as much. So yeah, multiple POV is the way to go. But like I said, we are 200 pages end game now. I'm going to put my pyjamas on and go and settle into bed and try and read at least 1 more chapter before going to sleep, because I want to take as much off my plate tomorrow as possible. And I've been on a roll today, I really have, which is so nice. And I will definitely count that I've been reading this as ebook, because I think I've read most of this on my Kindle than physically, and I have like swapped between the 2 a little bit. But I would say now when I finish it, I will be counting the 900 odd pages from Kindle pages rather than the 700 and whatever on the book, and I will be saying I read it on my ebook. So yeah, I'm pretty sure now my next update, I would like to say it's going to be at the end of the book, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't think everyone's walking away at all. So we'll see. You'll have at least 1 more update from me before I finish this series and this vlog, so stay tuned for that. We have only gone and bloody done it. Guys, I finished after the live show. But I finished. I gave it 4 stars. So first book, 4 stars. Second book, 5 stars. Third book, 4 stars. I don't know what it is now with me feeling kind of like a middle book person. Also pumpkin, and I got a ghost as well, but I digress. 4 stars. Really enjoyed this. Love the ending. Loved the ending. Thought it was really good. I am so glad that I've now finished this series. I'm so glad I finished the series. Like, I finished a whole series, and goodness knows how this vlog has turned out. But we've vlogged every single book. Obviously, there are spoilers within this vlog. I don't think I like told you the long and short of every single book. Obviously I did put spoilers in here, and I have spoken about certain points, but trying not to, I can take my bookmark out actually, because I have officially finished this book. Trying not to just be like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. I will say my prediction for Victor in this book turned out right. He did become the bad guy. But as Matthew did say, because we had Matthew Ward on the final show, which if you've missed it was a spoiler chat. It wasn't the usual layout that me and Lisa usually do, which usually is how it happens when we have authors on or guests on. We don't necessarily go through like the play-by-play of the whole book. We were asking questions and everything. If you want to see that, which was on my channel, I'll link it up here. Check it out. It was a good time. Thank you to Matthew, if you're even watching this, for coming along and talking to us. Really grateful that you did. Thank you again to Lisa, obviously. I love that this is the first vlog in this style for me, so I'm hoping that it comes together. But anyways, third and final book. I was right about Victor. He becomes the big bad. However, as Matthew said, there is no real big bad. Everyone kind of dips in and out of doing bad things because they think they're doing the right thing. But I will say what he does towards the end with Sadara, giving her his shadow, and then, you know, kind of turning her into a bit of a bad person, but like she doesn't mean to be a bad person, was heartbreaking. But I'm so glad to see who walked away. I thought it was a really nice ending for every single character that we saw. I am really sad that, like, but it makes sense as well. Like, there was a whole full circle moment which Matthew mentions in the live show about how we start the very first book on this specific bridge in Escavord, and the final battle between Josiri and Victor is on that same bridge. Like, talk about full circle moment. Holy heck, full circle moment. I think it was quite fitting as well that both Victor and Josiri do not make it past this book. I thought that was quite fitting. There's just like small touches, like where Altiris gets Josiri to be buried, because there's always been this mention that part of Anna is still at Bragan Hall, and that's where Altiris buries Josiri, just on the off chance that part of her is still there and they can be together, and Kalen is just finally free to go wherever she wants to go, which I thought was really lovely. Sadara and Altiris are good to go and like live out their life. Constance is... I liked the touch that we knew he was there, but we did not know what officially happened to him. Like, we know he's still around, we know he didn't die, but he just like appeared, someone thought they saw him, and then he disappeared. Like, he's never fully mentioned again within the book, which is quite cool. And obviously my favourite, Kirkus, made it. So, and hands down, out of all three of these books, Kirkus is definitely my favourite. I love him. He is my favourite character throughout all three books. I also love how, when Matthew was talking about it, he was saying, oh, Kirkus was never really like as big a character as he is now, which is so fascinating, and how long like this story sat in Matthew's head for like 20 years or something, which is also baffling to me, and he finally wrote it down, and I'm so glad he did. I highly recommend this series. This whole series is full of political intrigue. We have got battle scenes, we have got, you know, intrigue and backstabbing, and there are points throughout every single book where you're reading from different characters' points of view and you find out little snippets, but someone else doesn't know about it, so they're acting in a different way because they didn't know, or they don't know what's actually happening because someone else is doing it, so you just want to shake them and tell them like, oh, this is happening and you need to pay attention to this. But it's so good, and the second book hands down is my favourite. I don't even exactly know why. I just feel like the second book had me constantly turning pages and just fully enraptured in the whole thing. But I loved all three books. I think they're fantastic. I would recommend them to anyone, and I'm recommending them to you. I mean, I would have thought that if you're watching this video, you've probably already read these books. However, in my vlog where I don't do spoilers, I will be highly recommending them, so hopefully people who haven't read them will read them and then maybe come and watch this afterwards, and if you have, hi, hello, welcome. But I've really enjoyed this whole series, and I'm so glad that I finally read it and had to push to complete this whole series. Like, these are chunky books, they're quite intimidating, but they are well worth the time and the reading. The audiobooks are available for the first two. It is sad that there is no audiobook for the third one. Ourselves and Matthew have no idea why, which is really sad. So if anyone who is in charge of audiobooks sees this video, please talk to Matthew and get the third one sorted, because it definitely deserves it. I didn't enjoy the first audiobook. I don't know what it was. Maybe I wasn't in the right headspace, but when I listened to the same narrator read the second book, I was fine and I loved it. So take that as you will. If you are an emotional reader, not like me, you will laugh, you will cry, you will gasp, you will have all of the reactions. I loved this, and as someone who reads a lot of fantasy and stuff, and not someone who doesn't read a lot of romantic, this is 100% epic fantasy. There is a little sprinkling of romance between a couple of characters, which I really liked that touch. It gives them that human element, but there is no smut, there is no spiciness, there is just relationships and developing relationships, and I really liked that. I loved that, actually. I just love these characters, and I'm so glad the ones who survived. I'm sad that the ones died, but yeah, Kirkus, as long as Kirkus survived, I was fine. But yes, highly recommend. I'm so glad that I finally read this series, like I've already said. But that is going to be the end of this vlog. So if you have enjoyed this vlog, I don't even know how long this is going to turn out. We will see. If you enjoyed this vlog, please give it a like, really supports me on my channel. Leave me a comment down below of what series you think I should do a spoiler vlog on next. I'd be really interested to know and see if you have the same sort of thoughts as me. And if you want to just leave me an emoji, leave me any... let's just do like animals. Oh, I don't know if there's a phoenix emoji. Is there a phoenix emoji? Probably not. If there's not a phoenix emoji, do any bird emoji, because we are for the phoenix. That is all they say in this series. And I enjoy it. But yes, leave that. If you want to see more of me, please consider subscribing down below and ringing that notification bell to get notified every single time I upload new videos. This is a nice break from my weekly reading vlogs where I'm not really reading a lot, but this I read 3 books in this vlog. Like, that's pretty good going for me. And yeah, ring that notification bell to get notified every time I upload. I think I've already said that, but make sure you do it. That's why I've said it twice. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you soon in whatever comes next. Bye!